Hello, welcome back to the Mobile Motorbike Mechanic channel. I'm Steve. Today we're heading off over to, I can't remember where. Anyway, we're going to go and have a look at a Fireblade CBR 900RR. The owner's given us a call and said it's become incontinent. It is leaking fuel, which is not good. So, yeah, so we'll see you when we get there. Right folks, so here we are with the Fireblade 900RR. Yeah. Anyway, so the customer says that he's got a strong smell of fuel and he's seen a couple of drips on underneath the bike. So what we'll do is we're going to fire this one up and see what happens. You hear that? It's a very rattly cam chain, that is. Yeah, very rattly cam chain. Anyway. Ah, yeah, okay. Yep. All right. Yeah, we got a leak on the carbs. Okay. Get the seat off, get the tank off, and then you might be able to see a bit more. But yeah, I can see it's leaking. Right, let's get the seat off. Long time viewers of the channel might recognise this bike from when we put a radiator in it a couple of years ago. The guy who owns it, he hasn't used it all that recently. I don't think he's used it for about a year and a half. So I think everything in the carburetor department sort of dried out, and that's why we're getting these issues. Let's loosen this off. And we need to get that out of there. Now, before I remove that one completely, I need to take the tap off. Right, get these tanks off. It's a damn sight easier if you take the fuel tap off. So make sure the fuel's in the off position, and then you can go in with a screwdriver. There should be a screw somewhere in the middle of that. Oh, there it is. Just make sure that the tap's, like I say, in the off position. You can undo the screw and remove the tap itself. There we go. And there's a screw down inside there. Yeah. And then that means that will lift clear of the frame when you lift it up. Makes life a lot easier. Block of wood under the back of the tank. What was that just fell out? Oh, something just fell down. I don't know what it was. Oh, we'll find it later. So just got to take off a couple of breather pipes. There's one. There isn't one on the other part of the tank. I can lift it up again. And we can get to this main fuel feed. So I'll pop that cloth under it to stop it dripping. You will get some fuel out of this one, but hopefully not too much. Come on, start moving your bucket. There it is. Right, cloth in place. There we go. Right. Now we can drop that back down again. Take our bolt out the front. Easier said than done. And then we're ready to release the fuel tank. Should lift clear. Yeah. Right. And now we can see where the problem lies. She's just there. So you see that's a breather. Hang on, let's get rid of that. Save confusion. Right, so fuel comes from your fuel tank, goes to your fuel pump, from your fuel pump to this T-piece, and then it goes up here into this T-piece that feeds those two carbs, and that T-piece that feeds those two carbs. And the problem is the little rubber O-rings inside here start to perish, and that's when I put my hand in at the start of the video. I was feeling around here and that elbow was all wet, so I think the little rubber O-rings inside there have perished. Right, I'll get the airbox off and then we can definitely have a proper look at it. And I need to find whatever it was that fell out the back of the tank. Ah, I can see it. So once you've got the tank out of the way, you can see things much more clearly. There it is, that little top hat. Right, now I'm going to take that bolt out because I found that bit. Right, there's only one bolt that holds the airbox on these, and that's that 10mm at the front there. With that gone, we now need to undo this one. Now, sometimes these don't undo, because the nutser is actually just into the plastic on the airbox, and if it ain't going to undo, don't worry about it. But oh, actually that one's undone. I'm going to say if it doesn't undo, you just reach around and undo the little pipe off the end. But that just makes life a little bit easier if they do undo. So you can just tuck it out of the way. Right, and then onto the carbs themselves. You've got these clamps. There's just 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll undo those and then the airbox can come off. That's that gone. There is a hose on there, but they normally just push on. There should be a clip, but for some reason the clip's missing, so never mind. So now we can see where that T-piece goes into these two carbs. It's just there. It's like that brown piece there. It should be brown. It's looking pretty mucky. But yeah, oh yeah, you see the play in that. There shouldn't be that much play in it. They do wear over time, and that's what causes the issue. Right. Just to prove the point, we'll rig up a test tank and start the bike up and just make sure it is that before I start ripping the carbs apart. Right, got my little test tank set up. So I'll hang that off the wing mirror there. Fuel everywhere. Right, fuel's on. Okay, so if you come in and have a look at this junction here, obviously nothing happening with it at the moment because we're not running the bike, but fire the bike up. Oh, see that? Tripping straight off the bottom of the carb. So yeah. This one. And that one's not leaking, but that one definitely. See it pouring out. Right. Turn it off quick. There we go, that's what I thought from when I stuck my hand under it. Bugger. So, to get these out of here we've obviously got to take the carbs apart and split the carbs individually off. So that's what we're going to have to do. Okay. Let's make everything safe and then we'll crack on and get that done. Okay, so carb removal. Need to get into here. We'll get that choke cable removed. Tasty Kawasaki going past. Alright, that's the choke cable removed. Got to get the throttle cables removed, or loosened off anyway. You can't remove them until you get the carbs out. And we've got to get down onto the clamps under here. So getting onto the clamps, it's going to be easier to just take these side panels off. So we'll do that. There should be a pin there. I love these bikes because they're so easy to take the fairings off. There you go, done. Look at that, how quick was that? Why can't modern bikes be like that? And same again on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ta-da! Right, with the panel off, you can get into the screws that hold the carburetors on, which are these ones here. So there's 1, 2 this side, 3, 4 the other side. Right, with those two undone, remember to unclip your tick over screw. And go around the other side, do the same. There's one. Yeah. Nice long screwdriver helps. Done. Right, so with those 4 undone, we can get your main feed from your fuel pump. Get him undone. Oh, come on, you bugger. Twist. Oh, that's ruined it. That's absolutely buggered it up, isn't it? Total fail. Oh dear. We ain't fixing this one today. Oh shit. Alright. Not a problem. I'll have to order a new T-piece. That's how brittle they are. Right. Well, we'll carry on. We'll get the carbs out. There's nothing we can do about that. Right, a little bit of a fail there with the old T-piece, but I'd rather it do it now than when we're putting it back together again. So I'm just going to get these throttle cables slackened off. Just goes to show the age of the bike, everything's starting to get a bit knackered. But never mind. No matter. Right, cables are loose, choke's off, everything's undone. We've removed the feed from the fuel pump. So now these should, he says, just start to walk them back and forth, and they should start to, oh, I don't know when the last time these came off, but it must have been a while ago. Good tips for getting these off are hair dryers on the old rubbers to loosen them up. There we go, that's got them. Hey, you might be wondering why put a hair dryer on them. Well, it just warms them up and gets them nice and supple. Now, carburetors are loose, ready to go, but we've still got the throttle cables attached. So we need to reach through and get those undone. Throw that over there just in case we drop anything. Don't want it going in the motor. So throttle cable number 1 undone, and we can pass him up through the carbs and out, and then throttle cable number 2 there, pass him up through the carbs, and that's your carbs off. Right, now obviously these carbs are full of fuel, This is your overflow here, which is why it's dripping. So I'm going to put those, going everywhere. I'm going to put those in a bowl. Right, folks, because of our damaged T-piece, decided to bring these ones back to the Mobile Motorbike Mechanic HQ. This is our new HQ, by the way. We've moved. Yeah, you might have seen a carb rebuild video on a, what was that, Honda Hornet 600, I think it was, a few years back. Anyway, since then we've moved. This is a work in progress. More on that if you want the detail later. Anyway, right, so what we're going to do is we're going to strip these carburetors down, but I'm not actually going to strip each individual carburetor because they're working. It is just so that we can get to these, just so we can get to these two T-pieces. All right. Yeah, there's still fuel in these. Yeah, so it's just so we can get to these two T-pieces. So all we need to do is take the choke mechanism off, and then we can undo that one long bolt there, and then there's another very long bolt there that we need to do. Like I say, pop the choke mechanism off, and then we can pull the individual carburetors apart. So, decent fitting screwdriver, and you should be able to start getting everything undone. Oh, there we go. And excuse the noise in the background if you can hear any noise in the background. I think the neighbour's out with his leaf blower. Right, so we'll just take all those little bits off there. And what I'm going to do, I've got my little dividey kit. I'm going to put all of those choke parts in there. Makes life a lot easier. Right, so that's the only bit actually of the carburetors we need to take off, is that choke bar. And now it's a question of undoing that big bolt there and that big bolt there. And then the struggle of getting the actual carburetors separated. Right, let's have a look. 10 mil. Is it 8 mil on the other end, or is it? No, it's 10. So one's 10 mil and the other's 8 mil. So 10 mil, 10 mil. There we go. Just because that came undone easily, don't let it fool you. The problem you've got is that's a stainless rod. These are aluminium carbs, and they fur up and hold on to each other's, which can be a right pain. Anyway, that's that one done. So we'll swap to the 8 mil. 8 mil there, 8 mil there. Yeah, that's going to be a bugger. I feel that already. Oh. You see the oxidation. Oh, look at that. You see this white oxidation? That's going to cause us a problem. I feel. Never mind. Right, and now it is literally just a question of, now admittedly it is literally just a question of pulling these carburetors apart. However, there are several little springs and bits and pieces that you've got to be careful of. So that's a bit of the choke mechanism there. So we'll pop him in. That was off that one. These don't feel too bad actually. Could probably do with a full clean, but we'll see what happens. See what happens when we get into them. Now, down in the depths of the carburetors, you'll see these are the balancing screws. There's one there, there's one in the middle there, and there's one in the middle there. They're really difficult to see on camera, but what you'll notice about them is that they've got little, oh, let me get a pointy stick. Right, you'll notice there's a little spring on them there, and then between that piece and that piece there's a little spring at the back, and then there's a little spring there on that round bit there, and then there's a little spring on that round bit there as well. And all of those springs want to come apart when you pull these carburetors apart. So do it in a nice sterile environment so you can see exactly where you are, and have eyes like a hawk, because you're going to have to watch for bits flying off left, right and centre. What I am going to do, just to make life easy for myself, or easier, so I'm going to take that tick over screw and get rid of it, and I'm not constantly tripping over it. Right, let's see if we can get these off without buggering them up. There's one, there's two. Right, so yeah, we're going to have to order a new T-piece. I think that's a 10 by 10 by 10 brass. Sorry, I think that's a 10 by 10 by 10 T-piece, but I'll order a brass one, and then we won't have that issue again in the future. Get the cloth. Right, let's see if these are going to start to come apart. See, there's quite a bit of flex in them, but they don't particularly want to come apart. It is literally just a question of gingerly moving them a bit at a time. Right, and hopefully they'll start to move. Come back to me shortly. Right, just got the first carb removed. That's the spring I was talking about that goes on there, that goes between that carburetor and that carburetor there, and that is the little screw spring, actually balance spring, and that goes between that carburetor and this paddle for the other carburetors there. So just beware, lots of little springs, they can ping out. Anyway, put that in there. This rail here was our pain in the ass, because as you can see the steel insets are all furred up, so they've corroded and they were hanging on to this carburetor for dear life. The ones on the other side, well, you just noticed I've just spun that out with my fingers, so nice and easy to get out, that one. So if you're doing this job, yeah, these are a right pain. Anyway, with that one out the way, you can now see this is our T-piece where the fuel goes in, and if we just pop it out of that carb, those are the two O-rings we were talking about. So we're down to the O-rings, so we need to get a couple of replacement O-rings for that. We need to get this carburetor off that side. Unfortunately, these two in the middle are starting to split, which we don't want particularly. So yeah, I need to get that one out, because that was the actual one that was no, that wasn't the one that was leaking. Yes, that was the one that was leaking, so that one was the good one. But anyway, so we need 1, 2, 3, 4 O-rings, so we need to get this one off. The only way I've been able to do it, unfortunately because of the corrosion, was with a lump of wood and a dead blow mallet. And as you can see from the lump of wood on the corners, we were just knocking away on the carbs, just gently, tap 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 tap. Don't go mad or I shall start breaking things, and then it gets really expensive. But anyway, that's that one off. We need to do the same on the other side, so we'll get that one off. And you can come back to us in a minute. Right, that's the other carburetor off, and that's the other T-piece. So that was the T-piece off that side, that's the T-piece off this one. Now, if you look carefully at the O-rings, they're not split at all, but they are not all that great. I think if you try, let me grab a pick a second and try and pull that off there. Because I reckon it's going to be pretty brittle. Oh no, not too bad at all actually, not too bad. But that's what we need to replace. 1, 2. And then these two here. Oop, 1. 2. Right. So we just need to get 4 new O-rings. Yeah, 4 replacement O-rings and a replacement T-piece. I've just ordered that. I've ordered a brass one just so that we don't have that problem again in the future, because obviously getting old, it's going to start failing. 90s bike. It's what, getting on 30, 35 years old now. So that can go in the bin, but we'll replace that one. And then these two, we'll just have to be a bit more careful with. Right, let's go and see if we've got any of these on the van. Right, let's have a look, see what we got O-ring wise. So those are the ones off the bike. Well, they're a pretty close match, aren't they? Yeah, I would say that to that. Pretty reasonable. Right, those are the 2 old ones. Those are the 4 new ones. Let's just go and see if we can get them fitted. Remember at the start of the video when I said these were brown T-pieces? You probably didn't believe me. Well, they are brown. Anyway, we'll give them a little clean. So these are our new replacement O-rings. These are the old ones on the cloth. All I want to do is I just want to see. That's a pretty good fit in there. But I just want to see what they're actually like in the carb itself. So if they're too big, they won't go. You see, that's... They might go with a bit of lube. So I'll just use a bit of grease here. We normally use the red rubber grease, but this is the same stuff, it's just clear. But with a bit of the rubber grease on. Yeah, that's going to fit lovely, isn't it? Look at that, straight in. Okay, we'll get the rest of them fitted up, lubricated, and get these throttle bodies back together again. Oh, carburetors I should say. Back together again. Just get a bit of lube on them. I like a bit of lube. Right. See how that's gonna fits in like that. Is that gonna go? Oh, beautiful. Thing of beauty. Right folks, so that's those 4 little troublesome O-rings replaced, so they can go in the bin. Obviously we've got our slightly troublesome T-piece, but we'll order a replacement for that. So that's about as far as we can go with these carburetors. However, we've got them off. We're here at HQ. We may as well strip them down and give them an ultrasonic clean, because I don't know when they were last done. They're not in particularly bad shape, but they ain't exactly clean, are they? So I think what I'll do is I'll just quickly strip them down, do an ultrasonic clean on those. Let us know in the comments if you want to see us strip these down and clean them. But I think we'll have to call it a day on this video now. We will be back though. I want to get these back on the bike. I want to get it on video. So we will show getting these back on the bike, getting it balanced up, and making sure that we've got no leaks. Because there's also something else I mentioned earlier on in the video. I mentioned a cam chain rattle on that bike. So I think what we'll do is we'll get these carbs back on. I'll have a chat with the customer. He already knows about it, and he's actually given us the green light to do a valve clearance check on that bike, because we've got to take the cam chain tensioner out to replace it. So we may as well quickly whip the cylinder head off, do a valve clearance check. If we need to do a valve clearance actual you know, take the cams out and everything, we'll video that as well. But yeah, so anyway, stay tuned. I'm waffling now, sorry, but yeah, stay tuned. Nearly up to 13,000 subscribers. Wow, absolutely amazing. So thank you ever so much for everyone who has subscribed. Subscription's free, so you know, by all means do it. Don't cost you anything, and it helps us out, helps us video these or make these videos. So yeah, I'll pull these apart. Let us know in the comments if you want a video on us actually pulling these apart and giving them an ultrasonic clean. And we'll see you on the next video.